So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 9 ways that you can try and cultivate pleasure in your everyday lives. And these are things that I try to do and keep in the back of my head. I'm not always super successful at it, but they're definitely things that I try to be conscious of to cultivate joy and pleasure in my life. Hello, friends. Welcome back to my channel. Ali here, a platform where we have some casual conversations about sex, relationships, and other fun stuff. And in today's video, we are going to discuss something that is crucial, not only for your sex life, but for your overall happiness, pleasure. And I'm not just talking about sexual pleasure. I'm talking about finding joy and fulfillment in everything that you do in your everyday lives, because when we embrace pleasure in our everyday lives, it has a ripple effect on who we are and what we do outside and inside the bedroom as well. Now, if you're feeling unsatisfied in your sex life, your sex is kind of meh, you don't feel that good about yourself, you're not finding great partners, you're not having good sex with your partner, things are just kind of like womp. I want you to take a step back and ask yourself if you're finding pleasure and joy in the rest of the areas of your life. Because if you're not feeling pleasure and joy in the small things in life, it's harder to find that in your more intimate experiences. Yes, we talk a lot about sex on this channel, okay? It's a channel about sex and relationships, but I want to make a point to let you know that sex is not everything. And that's something I say in a lot of my videos. Sex is not the be-all, end-all of life. It's definitely a part of it, but it's not the most important factor. Life is more than just what happens between the sheets. Sex is definitely a form of pleasure, but it's not the only pleasure. And without cultivating joy in the day-to-day, a fulfilling sex life is really hard to come by. So Dr. Emily Morse, who is a pioneer powerhouse in the field of sex education, I'm currently reading her book, Smart Sex. You should definitely check it out if you're interested on sex ed literature. I'll link it below this video, but she talks a lot about pleasure, and she emphasizes that we need to re-educate ourselves when it comes to sex and pleasure. She talks about the need to redefine what it means to be productive according to today's society. So a lot of the time, productivity now means a hustler, the person who leaves the office the latest, the person who's working the most, the person who's posting the most content, the person who wakes up at 3 a.m., like all those things. And we really discount the people who take time to go walk in the woods, spend time in nature, nurture their bodies, read, stay off social media, and so on. And this definitely comes into conflict with what I'm trying to do online, because when you're trying to build a platform online, it takes a lot of time and a lot of presence. And that definitely comes into conflict with me wanting to cultivate pleasure and joy in my life. But I'm still trying to find that balance. So in the last couple of years, I've learned that finding pleasure and working on pleasure is a habit. It's a practice. It's something that you have to work on all the time. It doesn't come naturally. I wouldn't say I'm an expert on pleasure, but it's definitely an area that I'm interested in. It's definitely something that I think I have somewhat of a balance in. I'm looking forward to sharing these 9 tips with you. And if you get something out of it, great. If you don't, that's okay too. And if you have other things to contribute or other ways that you seek pleasure, then please feel free to drop them in the comments below. I would love to know what you do to cultivate pleasure and joy in your life outside of the bedroom. Because again, if you're happy outside of life, I think a lot of that can translate into the bedroom and give you a more happy and fulfilling sex life. But sometimes we got to go back to the basics, friends. Let's work on our health and our happiness before we get inside the bedroom. But before we get into that list, I just want to say a big thank you to my Patreons, because if you didn't know, my sex and relationship content online cannot always be monetized, and it takes a lot of work to create content online. So if you want to support the growth and the maintenance of this channel, you can click on the links below this description, which will bring you to my Patreon, and you can check it out and see what it's about. And if you want to contribute, you can. If not, you can continue being a wonderful YouTube community member. But yes, so big thank you. Muchas gracias a todos, and it really helps a lot. So that's that. All right, back to the video. All right, so number 1 is practice mindfulness and presence. So being present in the moment, which means going for a walk, eating a meal, or simply breathing. Slowing down and reconnecting with these simple pleasures and simple moments that you would often overlook because you're either on your phone or you're distracted by a mental workload or whatever. This one I definitely struggle with sometimes because building an online presence requires you to be on your phone quite a bit. And even though I don't have Instagram or I don't have TikTok for now anyways, I'm still on YouTube and I'm still checking my phone and such. And not being on all the socials definitely helps, but I unfortunately can't foresee myself totally eliminating them because of the nature of my job, but I can definitely try and mitigate those distractions a little bit. So number 2 is engage in sensory exploration and sensory play. And no, I'm not talking about the kinky kind of sensory play here. So for example, I love fires. So this is the perfect time of year. Wherever we are, I love putting on a crackling fire. Even if I don't have access to a fire pit, I put the fire pit scene on YouTube because you hear the crackling and it's so nice. So if we're somewhere with a big TV or whatever, I'll put that on for background noise because it is so soothing. And another thing I love to do is enjoying the way food tastes. So you all know I love to cook, and I'm so grateful that I'm surrounded by people who also love food and taste and smells and so on. So when we do sit down to enjoy a really nice meal together, we really take time to savor the things that we're eating and the little small hints of herbs and spices and things like that that we find in our food. Number 3 is creative expression. So activities like painting, dancing, cooking, or even journaling allows you to tap into a different form of pleasure. The joy of creating, it doesn't have to be perfect. The whole point is to explore and have fun and play. So some things that I've started to do is like taking dance lessons. I haven't taken dance lessons in so long. I'm currently learning how to samba, and I do feel like a fish out of water sometimes, but it does feel really good to move my hips. I love to cook. I do journal. It's something that I started to do last year, and I really enjoy it. Number 4 is probably the most important one for me, and that is movement and exercise. I need to move my body every day, every morning. I do move my body for at least 30 minutes. Most of the time it's a workout. If I don't get a workout in, then it's some kind of nature activity like a walk, a hike, or something. But I always make sure that I have physical activity in my day because those endorphins, the way that I feel, the way that it unclogs my mind, it just feels so fucking good. And this is a big part of being healthy, which also optimizes your sex life long term. And one of the older videos I did about, I don't even know how to say it, I want to say old people, but people got offended with that. So trying to be more careful with my word. With the aging population, a lot of people commented that they were still in relatively good health and with a good diet and good exercise and so on, they were still able to enjoy a very fulfilling sex life. So diet, exercise, all that stuff is so important for your well-being, cultivating joy and pleasure. And those endorphins, I love the endorphins. Number 5 is cultivating connection. So this one is also a really big challenge for me because I am such an introvert and I could stay in this little tiny house that I'm in. I don't know if you can see, but I'm in a very tiny house forever and not talk to anybody. And I know in the long run that isn't good for me. So I really try to make an effort to see friends and make friends, but still while being very picky and choosy with who I give my energy to, because y'all know as you get older, it's hard making friends and you got to date your friends like you would a romantic partner, and you got to be selective and careful about who you give your energy to. But when it is with the right people who fill your cup and not empty it. So you have cup fillers and you have cup emptiers. But when you find cup fillers, they fill your soul, they bring you joy, they bring you pleasure, they bring you inspiration and motivation. And that is something that I'm trying to do more in my life these days. Number 6 is self-care rituals. So prioritizing self-care rituals that make you feel good, like taking long baths, skincare regimens. That's something that I recently got more into lately. I have a very basic skincare regimen, and since we've been traveling so much, I haven't really invested in a lot of products because traveling with products and such is just not ideal, especially when you don't check a bag. Now that we're staying put in Canada for a little while, I've spent some money and invested in some great skincare products because, you know, I want to try and keep my face as fresh as possible. And I just find it really relaxing to be able to do my skincare regimen. It relaxes me in the morning and in the evening. And I feel like I have a fresh face when I open the door and I step into the world. And it just makes me feel like I'm starting the day on a really positive note. But this can also be like reading a book, preparing your favorite breakfast every morning, a smoothie, I don't know, whatever makes you feel good and allows you to present yourself into the world as a happy, calm human. Work on that, do that. Self-care rituals are amazing. Self-care is important. Number 7, practice gratitude. So start a daily gratitude journal. So I'll be honest with this one, it's on my list because I do think it's important, but I have a really hard time practicing gratitude. I'll go through spurts of time where I'll write it out for a couple days and then I won't. And then I'll get in really bad moods and find it really hard to be grateful about anything. This is something that I'm always trying to be conscious of, is to practice gratitude. And when I do, I feel better. I do. Sometimes I used to be better at doing this habit, but when we would have dinner, even if it was just Gab and I or with friends and so on, I'd always look around and be like, oh, what was your magic moment today? Like, tell me something good that happened to you today, the magic moment. And it's always really fun to share with people and so on. But yeah, this one is definitely a challenge for me, but there is science behind it that says that practicing gratitude daily does wonders for your mental health. And it just opens up the door for more pleasure into your life by practicing gratitude. Number 8, exploring nature. This is one other one that's probably at the top of my list that I do pretty often, but I would say not often enough. So spending time in nature, whether it's a walk, a hike, going to the beach, going to the park, can be incredibly grounding and pleasure-filled. Connecting with the natural world around you just brings you an automatic feeling of joy and calm and so on. And I don't know about you, but me, whenever I go walking and hiking, my brain just unfogs. I feel so good in my body. It's definitely something that I would recommend more, is to just go and play outside. And the last one is prioritizing rest and sleep. Now, if you would have asked me many years ago, I probably wouldn't say this as one of my top ones, but sleep is so important to me. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what, but I can tell you that if I go to bed past 1 a.m., even if I sleep 7 hours or whatever, I wake up like I have a hangover, like I drank, and I feel groggy and I feel bad. It takes me 2 days to recover. Poor Gab has to deal with my cranky ass mood and me complaining all the time how I did not get enough sleep. But sleep is so important for me to just feel good in my body and allow me to enjoy all the other pleasures in my life that I just mentioned. So always prioritize rest and sleep. Again, this is great for your health and will just optimize your sex life in the long term. You can reflect upon these 9 ways to cultivate joy and pleasure in your regular lives. I'm sure you've seen a list similar to this on a million blogs on the internet or a million other YouTube videos, but here I am making another video about it because I think that a lot of us need to be reminded of this and change the definition that we have of what it means to be productive in today's society to something that is more pleasure filled. You know, like I said at the beginning of the video, this transfers into your sex life. If you're not happy in your sex life, if you're not finding pleasure in your sex life, take a moment to think about if you're finding pleasure in any other aspect of your life. And if you're not, then take a step back and go back to the basics. Start cultivating more pleasure in your life. And if you're happier, if you're healthier, I guarantee that you're probably going to transfer that into the bedroom and start having better sex, whether it's with yourself, because yes, we have to prioritize solo sex too, you know. I mean, I don't know about some of you, but solo sex is much better than having shitty, mediocre sex with somebody else. Anyways, to help better solo sex, sex with your partner, sex with multiple partners, and whatever. If you're feeling good about yourself, you're just gonna have better sex. All right, I feel like that's it. That's the message of this video. It's just an important message for me as well to transfer to all of you that sex is not everything. There is so much more to life, so much more to life. Just like where I am right now in the middle of the forest in British Columbia in this little tiny house that is called the Shire. That's right. I don't know if you could see this little tiny house that I'm in. Anyways, that's the end of that video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, comments, or other pleasure-filled activities you would like to, suggest below, please do. And if you want to support the growth and maintenance of this channel, you can absolutely do so by clicking on the Patreon link below this video. And that's it. I'll see you in the next video. See you then. Bye.